What's up with it? It's your boy, the People's Coach, Cornelius Cole, in the building, live from Dallas, repping the Dallas Cowboys, live from Dallas. About to get into it. It's the Diehardfam show. So, thanks for supporting Sport America. Thanks to Sports for America for putting me on. Um, as always, a little rest, but we're gonna get this right today. Uh, get this show popping with a lot of good takes. The show. Um, so, um, starting off, there's a lot of different things to talk about today. But I want to start off with the World Baseball Classic. In case you missed it or if you've seen it, let me know what you think. But I think it was a great outing for what's his name, Otani, Japanese born player, MLB, play for the Angels. So it was Angel on Angel for the final out, and he struck out Mike Trout. Uh, Trout couldn't come within. I don't know. He wasn't even close on any of his swings, but hey, things happen. My biggest take from the World Baseball Classic is I was harping on the fact that we don't send a lot of big names, but the big names that did play tended to get injured. Got a couple of players got injured playing, and it might affect what happens in the MLB season. So is the baseball classic really worth it? Now Japan just won number three, their third win in the classic, and it was a classic. You know, the name was fitting. Some people say, "Whoa," but to me, that was better than some of the baseball games that we have to suffer to watch. For those that's into it, it was a good game, 3-2, close game. Uh, the U.S. had a chance. The U.S. had a big chance to win, but blew the chance to win on a double play. You know, um, had a run on base and then guy hits into a double play. So, that wipes away. And Otani coming in as the closer. I mean, what can't this guy do? He does it all. Uh, Pitch, can bat. You know, good player, man. Uh, as I said, I'm bringing you this show live from Dallas. Shout out to all my Texas peeps, H Town right down the road. You know, um, lots of different things that happen as far as March Madness. Uh, but before I get into March Madness, don't forget to check out Nerd Focus, the energy drink. Get your brain right, your game tight with Nerd Focus. I'd like to thank all my supporters out there too while I'm doing this, and also give myself a plug for the Stimulate Your Mind show every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Central. Check out WDRB Media on iHeartRadio, on Tuned In, on radio, etc. Check me out. We come in Snook One Productions. And also, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, for those that haven't copped it, cop my book paperback, um, Pains That a Man Hides on Amazon. Karuin, I write under my middle name, which is Karuin. But anyway, back to the show. Um, Lots of different things have happened as far as March Madness. Um, Teams that impressed Fairleigh Dickinson. Remember, I said I ain't even know who Fairleigh Dickinson was. Remember, I said Fairleigh Dickinson last week, but I ain't even know who they was. But they ended up making the tournament, and not only making the tournament, but they slayed a number one seed. They took out Purdue, and Purdue has what everybody's saying is going to be the National Player of the Year on their squad. Um, so taking them out. But Purdue in that game, if you saw any of that game, Purdue just didn't have anything on it, man. They ain't come with nothing. Like um, they seem to be so flustered. I use that word flustered, but by the press that Fairleigh Dickinson was running, they couldn't really get ahead. It was turnovers, uncharacteristic. And then they couldn't make shots when they needed to. They only had like one weapon, and that was the National Player of the Year. So what I look at is, Friday Dickinson, they did the thing. They got knocked out the next round, but at least they made it that far. And I said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. That's what you love about the tournament. That was their championship right there. There's no such thing as Cinderellas anymore. The Cinderella stories and stuff like that. Now with the transfer portals and stuff like that, making teams basically even all the way across the board. You never know what you're going to get. Schools like Fairleigh Dickinson can come and compete. Talent is everywhere, and with the NIL, that helped open it up too. These are just my opinions, but I'm just a fan. But what I can tell you is the games have been very, very competitive for the most part. It's been some blowouts here and there, but not too many. Houston, who happens to be the front runner, but to injury like that, but don't just win. Alabama. Uh, certain teams doing just enough to to stay above. But Kansas got taken out. They were the defending champs. Excuse me, from last week, I was saying North Carolina didn't even make the tournament. UNC didn't make the tournament, and I mistakenly called them the champs, but they were not the champs. It was Kansas, the Jayhawks. But the Jayhawks got knocked off too. So we'll have to see how things go. Right now, I'm looking at on the outside looking in Sweet 16. I'm looking at Michigan State. See what Michigan State do, man, because they playing some good ball. Houston still look like they got a good shot. Several teams look like everybody rooting for Gonzaga. But at the same time, I'm looking at the Cougars. I think for me, maybe the Cougars will win, but I know a lot of people are real frustrated about the brackets. I mean, brackets were broken up like the first day, when Furman won. Like, I'm not too many people rooted for Furman, I would guarantee you that, but Furman took out, you know, the tournament started off that way. It started off with upsets. So it's been real good. And on the women's side, it was upsets. Two number one seeds went down. Indiana went down, and then um, Stanford went down, but I got to see some of that Indiana game and Indiana against Miami. Miami was just a better team as late in the game. Um, they hit a big shot coming down the stretch, but what I was looking at was when it was a back and forth game. For me, it was how Miami just stayed poised and waited, and then like the young lady said, her coach told her go and win the game, and she went and won the game. But Indiana had a chance, but I was disappointed that Indiana didn't even get a shot up. I don't know what the ball handler was doing, not aware that you only had 3 something seconds or whatever to get a shot off, and didn't even get a shot. I mean, you don't even get a shot at the rim. I mean, where are you trying to dribble the ball to? At some point, you got to pull the trigger. Like you got to understand the clock and all that. You never know. Throw it up there. You just might go in. It might be a miracle shot because it's a time of miracle shots and stuff. It's March Madness, but to not even get a shot, kind of lame, kind of fizzled out right there. But hats off. I always said hats off to UConn Huskies. The women, man, they did it again. 29 straight Sweet 16s. In addition to all those championships banners that they already got to hang, now they got uh, you know 29 straight Sweet 16s to hang their hat on. That's impressive. I think the next women's team next to them in South Carolina with like 9 straight, which I think South Carolina are heavy favorites to repeat as champions. But you never know. You might be looking at some point you might be looking at UConn and South Carolina going head to head again. And I want to say, the nicest name in sports right now is AZ Fudge. She doing her thing, man. She playing ball. That young lady can play. I was watching her hoop. She came with it. Um, third quarter, third period, I should say. She came with it. She put it on. Turned up the intensity against the Baylor Bears. Baylor disappointing again. Um, you know, Texas Longhorns on the women's side got bumped off again. I mean, but on both, but what I be looking at when I watch the tournament is the standouts, and certain people stand out. And speaking of standouts, Antoine Davis making all that hoopla about not making about not making any tournaments and saying put us in the tournament and all this stuff. Somebody took the words out of my mouth when I first saw that. I was like, whoa. If you don't know, Antoine Davis was going for Pistol Pete's collegiate record for most points ever, and he gonna come up 4-5. I can't remember exactly how many he short, but he gonna come up short. But he came up short. And then he's like, "Oh, they didn't want me in the tournament because they didn't want the record broke." No, your team was 14-19. What tournament were you supposed to be in with a record like that? Nobody's just gonna let you in. Your team still has to perform. Your individual your individual credit is cool, but it's team sport. Your team wasn't good enough to make the tournament. Y'all have to forgive me. I got sunburnt being out in the sun, so my nose, like my nose cracking a little bit. That's why it's so shiny, sunburn and stuff like that. But um, back to what I was saying. Yeah, man, Antoine. You know, nothing you could do about it. Your team wasn't good enough to make it. You should have been on a better team, bro, or your team should have performed better as a unit. Now, what you did is special, spectacular, actually. But you can't say that you just should be given something when you didn't earn it. Uh, that's what I got on that. That's what I got from that is that hey, you was 14 and 19. It wasn't like it was even close. Like you were 5 games under 500. Like you had a losing. So what tournament should you have been in is the question. I know sometimes they say the NIT is a tournament for the losers, but like I don't even think 14 and 19 should have got you in there or in the CBI or whatever. You got to perform better, especially coming from a tiny school like you are. Um, Mercy Detroit, I think, or something like that. But like I said, props to you for coming close to the record. It just wasn't yours to have. Nobody really put the kibosh on it other than your team performance. So, we'll place the blame where it should lie on your team, and that's it. Leave it right there. That's where the blame should be laid, and that's where it should stay. So check it out. Um, so many other things have happened in sports, but before I get into all those things, let me take a moment again to shout out that Nerd Focus. Don't forget Nerd Focus. Uh, get your brain right, your game tight, man. I'm telling you, Nerd Focus energy drink. Um, so thinking about sports and being a diehard fan, I'm gonna get into the NFL a little bit later, but right now, um, looking at my pick in the NBA, the Clippers. I gotta start there, and I gotta say, man, Paul George done for the season pretty much. Out, say he'll be reevaluated 2 3 weeks. Knee sprain. Glad it wasn't nothing more than a knee sprain. If you saw it, the way his knee bent, the way his leg bent, you thought, oh man, it's another injury to that same leg. But he was able, you know, um, to stay, to stay out of serious harm's way. But it's a pain. So now I'm hoping that they can rally the troops. You still got Kawhi. Hopefully the Clippers, you still got. I mean, what happened to being one of the deepest teams? Somebody gonna have to step up. As collectively, y'all gonna have to step up as a team in order not to sink too far out of it and end up in a play-in or something like that. Yeah, I want to see y'all in the playoffs. Just to see y'all try to make a championship run, but it's unfortunate that Paul George went down, just like it was unfortunate that KD went down, LeBron went down. I want to see all the stars play. Me as a fan, I want the best to beat the best, and I'm going to say that until probably the day I die. Is I want to see the best. I mean, the NBA is about the best players on the planet playing. I want to see the best players play. But the league has been so much injury prone, more or less the injury plagued. I mean, it's gonna be some injuries, but it seems like the star players get hurt frequently. It's like Luca didn't play for a while. Dallas playing Dallas playing right now as we speak. As Dallas, I'm here in Dallas, and they got a game right up the road. They playing against the Golden State Warriors today. But Luca was out for a while. Kyrie's had his share of injuries and all this. I mean, but all these stars. I mean, you can go down the list. Giannis, you know, Tatum missed a few games. Well, not many, but Tatum missed a few games. Jalen Brown, uh, you know, um, a lot of these players. Joel Embiid. You can name all the star players. Jimmy Butler. Man, these guys just don't stay on. Can't seem to stay healthy, and it's unfortunate for Paul George because he lost a year or two of playing the game and of giving us some of the great basketball that was already taken away from him. So hopefully he'll bounce back quickly, be back out there. Hopefully he got something to play for when he do come back. But with that said, John Morant making his return. I mean, see what Ja go do, see what the Grizzlies go do if they gonna make a serious playoff push right now, or are they content where they are second, battling Sacramento for that second seed right there, so hanging in there. But it's good to see Ja back And I hear all the talk. I listen to all these different shows, and I listen to a lot of the talk and all this stuff about the young man's mental health. And he said, he went to rehab for stress, and some people taking it for joke and saying, "Oh, well, that's not long enough." Well, from his own mouth, he was saying that it's an ongoing process. So maybe he gonna stick with the therapy, and maybe that stuff's gonna work. Whatever kind of counseling or whatever he doing, maybe that's gonna work in the long run. I mean, but he got to get back. It's like like we regular people sometimes we forget we got jobs. We just fans, we just people, and sometimes when people doing their job, even like the expert analysts and stuff, I don't think they take into consideration that sometimes these athletes, man, you gotta let it be known that they're human, and it's like he got bread to make too, so let him get back to making his bread, and he can still go to therapy. It's like many of people go to work every day and then go see their therapist afterwards. So get a man a chance, let the man do his thing. Hopefully he learned his lesson and he gonna come back and ball. All I want to see is ball. I want to see Memphis back up that talk that they've been talking. I really want to see that. I know the side show with the whole Dylan Brooks and all that. Man, nobody really Dylan Brooks. Not really worried about that guy. Being a factor, man. If you want to be a factor, stop all the antics, man. D up somebody, shut somebody down. You know, I mean, all them crazy antics, and you still getting 30 dropped on your head. You ain't stopping nothing. You ain't stopping nothing. They still dropping 30 on your head, man. You're like, come on. Uh, you know, um, Bruce Bowen. Talk about defensive stoppers. Bruce Bowen, he was always tasked with holding the other team's tough person. For those that don't know, he played for the San Antonio Spurs. Making championship runs, and this is the Bruce Bowen that I want to talk about. As far as being a stopper, he couldn't stop Kobe, but he made it difficult. And if you look when Bruce Bowen was on Kobe, the shooting percentages dropped. Dylan Brooks, these dudes just man, if they still shooting 50%, you ain't stop nothing. Now, if they volume shooting and 30% and this that whatever, then yeah, you playing some defense. But what do the numbers prove that Dylan Brooks ever does anything other than antics and getting technical fouls? I mean, technical fouls. That ain't really helping your team cause. So what is he really showing? I mean, those are the things that I look at. But like I said, I want to see the Grizzlies back up all that talk. I want to see them really make a solid effort to win it all. Don't come up short. If you Memphis, you can't come up short after all the noise you can talk. And after all the stuff that y'all have been through, and then y'all got some built-in excuses already. Y'all got key players hurt. Steven Adams been out a long time. Um, Clark been out a while. Brandon Clark been out a while. Y'all got some things. Jada missed time. Y'all got some things that already y'all got to clean up. But Memphis Grizzlies, as a diehard fan, I want to see y'all bring into the league a young team. I want to see a young team do their thing. I want to see a young team strive beyond. Um, you know, break in this myth that it always take veterans. Me, I think it takes a mixture of veterans. I've never, NBA in my times of living, I've never seen just a young team win it all. Um, you know, that's just it just hasn't happened. There's always some seasoned veterans on the roster. There's always some players, and Memphis got that. Steven Adams, if he comes back, if he ever comes back, he probably won't. I don't know, but you got some seasoned veterans even on the sideline, on the bench or whatever, even if they're not playing. So you got some veterans on that squad. You ain't got just a young squad. Um, but for a predominantly young team, it'll be good to break up. That's why the Kings, man, if they could sneak in there and get past the first round and really be a threat. I mean, something different. Something to really talk about. And I'm gonna take a minute right now, and I'm gonna say rest in heaven to Willis Reed. The legend that was Willis Reed. Brought the New York Knicks, the only championships. And it's been 50 years since they done anything. So that was 50 years ago. So rest in heaven, Willis Reed. Everybody talk about quote unquote iconic moment, but I'm just gonna say, man, my whole life I heard stories about with the Willis Reeds, the Oscar Robinsons, the great players, going beyond the Dr. J's, the usual faces that you would see. I've heard about the Earl the Pearls and all that, and Willis Reed ranks up there, because two-time champion, brought it home for the New York Knicks, and like the Knicks haven't had a championship since, in the 50 years since. They've been a couple of times, but they ain't been able to deliver the whole thing. So hats off to that. You can't mention him a lot of times without mentioning Frazier. But at the same time, it's for Willis Reed. He passed on, died at the age of 80, but rest in heaven. And hopefully the Knicks make a serious run. And that's the thing that I was looking at in the NBA. We talk a lot of these teams. Um, it's not the fact that I don't. It's not the fact that I don't think he's a good defender. My thing is, let's talk and antics and really shut somebody down. Put all your focus into that specifically, and I think he'll be better. I think he can be a better defender. My challenge is, hey, stop with all the technical fouls and all the antics and stuff, and just go out there and D up for real, for real. That's all I expect. From a guy like Dylan Brooks. Wanting to be relevant and make a name. I think he could. I think he could be better. Um, I mean, literally, but here's the thing. You say that, but he hangs his hat on being a good defender. Those are his words. Those that's his role. That's what he's supposed to do. So in order to do it at the highest level, he got to go out there and just like the best defenders that I've ever seen. They win Defensive Player of the Year. You know, first team all defense, stuff like that. Would Dylan Brooks be on those lists? I mean, those are the questions that should be asked. Is he going to make those lists, or will the antics outweigh that? Like, has he put his all onto the defensive end? Has he Marcus Smarted the game? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like Marcus Smart, think about that. Yeah, you can't say that about everybody. But what I'm saying is that if you go hang your hat on that, then where is it? You know what I'm saying? Where is it? Well, maybe he could be. That's my thing. I think the young man got it in him. I think he got it in him. What I'm saying, that's my challenge. Like when I talk about, he has that in him that he could be one of those first team all defensive players. I think he could. I think he could really do that. And I see you, but I really think he could do that. I really think he could be a piece to help them win a championship if he focuses on that instead of the antics, instead of worried about all the sidetrack stuff. That's what's going to help Memphis. His antics, his technical fouls not going to help him. What's going to help him is going out there and actually D'ing up. And like I say, holding somebody to 30, 40%, not the 50%, like letting them shoot over you. This year, let's just face it, this year, not too many people have played defense most of the year. So anybody that wins the defensive player of the year this year is going to be funny to see who they pick or how they pick that, because the scores have proven no teams are really playing defense collectively, and individuals are lacking in the defensive area this year. Everybody's out there like it's I mean, all this it's like Beverly. When he was on top of his game, he defended. He was a decent defender, and he was right there. And then all of a sudden, he got a little cocky, and that took away from his defense. And then he wasn't D'ing up like he was before. Once he made a little name for himself, it's like all of a sudden it became more about the sideshow than it was about playing the game. But that's what I want to see. And like you look at so-called good perimeter defenders these days, they haven't really been doing a real good job. Like they say, Jaylen Brown, he's a good defender. But the Boston Celtics, when they play defense as a team, they solid on the defensive end, but they don't always bring it on the defensive end. No team this year has really just brought it. When Golden State was at the height, when they were winning, even last year when they won the championship, a huge part was defense. And it was with the Gary Payton the second. It was with different players, the Wiggins stepping up, and not just on the offensive end, but on the defensive end. It was Draymond taking charges. It was different things that was helping them out along the way at key moments of a game. Like these days, you don't expect the scores to be in the 80s and 90s like it was before, or whatever, the grueling physical matches. But with the game being wide open like it is, I think that you have to play defense in key moments. And it's always going to come down to who can get that stop, which team can get a stop in the most crucial moments. As we saw last year, playoffs when you saw the Miami Heat. Miami gets a good stop and they have a chance, but then Jimmy Buckets blows it because he pulls up for a 3-pointer and he missed the 3-pointer and they lose. But it was a good defensive effort before that. I think a lot of the classic plays that win you championships always on the defensive end. I mean, those LeBron fans are quick to remind people of the block against Iguodala in the championship for Cleveland. Moments like that are always going to be priceless. Taking that charge in crucial moments to get your team to the next level those are always good things. Those are always good things. Um, as far as you talking basketball, the number one pick, man, if Houston don't get it, then it's gonna be San Antonio step up their game a little bit and won a few games here and there. But for me, it's gonna be the Houston Rockets. It looks like the Houston Rockets are intentionally trying to get that pick. They're not the only ones, but it seems like they really, really, really trying to get the pick. They blowing games left and right, not really putting up much of a fight to win games. So it's either going to be them. Detroit has a slight chance, but I think it's going to be Houston. My hometown. I hate to say it, but yeah, it look like they all in that for the lottery pick. They're not in it to do anything else. But that's why I think they're trying to maximize it. That's why I think, they're trying to maximize how many balls they have in the lottery right now. That's why I'm thinking they're going to end up with it. But, if the way things turn out, um, you know, San Antonio stands a real good chance of getting that pick. And I say that because remember before they ended up with Tim Duncan. They ended up with Tim Duncan. It just seemed like sometimes the chips fall San Antonio's way. So San Antonio, they might end up getting that pick. But I still think it'll be Rockets. You know, yeah. But what I'm saying is that you have to be one of those three to make sure that you have the same percentage. And that's the key right there. That's why I say the Rockets doing everything they can to make sure that they have the most, you know what I'm saying, to make sure that they in that running. The Rockets are doing everything possible not to win games. That's just my opinion. They, like I said, they're not the only ones that's tanking games, but it seems like they're tanking a little bit more in terms of the talent that they already have. They can win some of those games, especially on other teams' off nights, but they're not even really trying to win those games, is what I'm saying. Like, it seems like the Rockets, they want that pick more than anybody else, more so than anybody else right now. Um, yeah, San Antonio's tanking. They tanking hard, but every now and then San Antonio, they'll go ahead and win a game here and there they probably, that you thought, well, they probably shouldn't have beat this team, but they beat this team, But San Antonio, and I'm disappointed, and I'm going to go on record and say I'm disappointed in Greg Popovich that you could even mention the great Greg Popovich with tanking. But yeah, San Antonio tanking to make sure, like I said, Houston, San Antonio, Detroit, those teams are they're trying to make sure that they're at the bottom to be able to get the overall pick. Everybody wants the 7'4" French guy right now. I don't know how this going to translate to the league. Like, my question to you would be: do you think that the first overall pick do you think he's going to be any good in the league, being that tall with crossover dribbles? For me, I just think too big. I think it's going to lead to some clumsiness in the NBA with the speed and the talent and trying to keep up. Not only that, but you saw it happen with Yao Ming, always having the foot injuries and stuff like that. When you when you're that tall, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. You get stepped on left and right. One step on your ankle, a twist of your ankle the wrong way, and you right back where you started from. But it seems like he's gonna be the biggest pick. So I really appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's different. He's different. That's what I was saying. With a crossover, 7'4" with a crossover. That's why I say it's gonna be more likely of injuries to happen when you're that different and when you're that athletic. Like, he's way more athletic than a Yao Ming. Not going to play traditionally posting up back to the basket. Like I said, he's going to be facing up. That's a lot of bumping but I don't know what part of the body he going to bump, but that's a lot of hitting your knees on stuff. That's a lot. It's going to take a lot to maneuver out there is my thing. playing against the top competition in the world, man. It's one thing. France, they can play some ball, but it's not like playing in the NBA. So even though the NBA is not as physical as it was before, it's still a physical game. And as you can see, I was just talking about it earlier. All of the injuries this year and in the years that keep a lot of those players, a lot of the good players from playing. Uh, you think he gonna be real good? I think the verdict gonna be out. I'm gonna hold back and see. I'm gonna hold back and see something first. Like I said, see if he stays out of the injury category early on. Because like you take like number one overall pick, take Zion Williamson, built different type of body, but his body hasn't been able to sustain the NBA play yet, or his play in the NBA. How hard he chooses to go or whatever. It's always injuries. So those things you always have to look out for. I don't wish nothing ill on the young man. I'm just saying that the facts out there just prove it that sometimes you take a gamble with the number one picks and on these so-called different players or these back in my day. I'm old school. They used to call it a freak of nature. These freak of nature players, man, it's different now. Um, you know, I don't know. I've said it before. I don't know if it's conditioning. I don't know what it is. Preparation or whatever, staying in shape or whatever. I don't know what it is, but it seems like it's way more injuries. Even though technology is way better, medicine is way better. It's just like injuries still are major right now. Um, and it takes out the stars. So I think the guy is going to have skills. I think he's going to come in with a skill package that no one's ever seen. Going to be pretty much almost unguardable. We got a little bit of glimpse of it. We get a little bit of glimpse of it with Kevin Durant being that guy that can shoot from anywhere, can get his shot, can do what he can do. Definitely Zion's had bad luck. Definitely he's had bad luck. Um, but you got to see these players. Yeah, like I don't know about just that chilling on the bench, but I know that it's taking them out, and it's not like a rush to get back. But I think that's team calls. Nowadays the team protects their players more so than the players protect themselves at times. Steph Curry made other things to let that be known that sometimes it's more the team than it is the player that wants you to sit out. But my question to New Orleans is how long they gonna let that go on with Zion before like before labels start being thrown out there like busted and just didn't live up to the bill and injury prone, those things because we already see that he's injury prone. But like when are they gonna get a return on their investment? You know, he getting paid to not play. I mean, that's the coolest thing. Like, I wish I could get paid and not show up at my job. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people wish they could get paid to not to not have to perform. But looking at the projected draft and all that, um, still looking at this season, it's still like you got more in store for this season. Hopefully, teams are going to the playoffs. They'll get us back and they'll be healthy. Hopefully, Zion will be back for the playoff run for the Pelicans. If they can make it, if they can sustain or even make it to a play in or something, maybe he could be a factor, help them out a little bit. But I don't know. The verdict gonna be out on him. Same thing with Wemby long term. Uh, but I look at other things. I look at when I look at these players for the NBA these days is used to have these factors, the championship medal or the heart or whatever. Last week I was on the Dame Lil talking about, it doesn't have to be about championships and stuff, but winning is not everything. However, competing to win, it makes a difference. I was talking about Willis Reed and the 50-year drought since him in New York. And what I see from the Knicks for the first time in a long time is a fight. Maybe Jalen Brunson brought that. Maybe Thibodeau finally reached it, but I don't know. I see a different type of fight in New York. The type of fight that you saw, like in the 90s, Ewan led. The late 80s, early, throughout the 90s, the Patrick Ewing led Knicks. You start to see that different fight in the Knicks right now. That's different. They just look different. The swagger is different. So what I'm looking at is maybe the Knicks are really serious and about to try to do something other than the first round exit or whatever. But you never know the matchups. I'm seeing that same type of swag when you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Man, they looking like they can challenge. But we talk the top three teams all the time. All you hear about is the top three teams: Philadelphia, Celtics, and then the Bucks. Now I picked the Bucks, and I'm still riding with the Bucks. I'm never switching on the Bucks. But who's going to really challenge? The Celtics are the defending East champions. So is there going to be a team that's sneaking there? I'm all for a team coming out of nowhere and sneaking in there. Nobody that you expected, and I think the Cleveland Cavaliers could be that team with Donovan Mitchell. I think Donovan Mitchell can go the furthest that he's ever went in the playoffs. Not because it's a lot of talent in the East, but I think the East is bringing out something different. I think that whole challenge with all the teams being so evenly laid out these days is so evenly matched that I think that they stand a good chance. I'm looking for, like I said, I'm looking for Donovan Mitchell to lead Cleveland into a place where they haven't been since LeBron left. Since LeBron left, I'm looking for him to put them in it. I'm looking for me. Now here's the thing. I said that the Bucks coming out of the East. I still think the Bucks are going to come out of the East. That's my pick for the East. Now in the West, I had the Clippers, but the Clippers don't seem like they're going to get it together. But I'm still going to ride with the Clippers until it's over because that's who I picked. But if not the Clippers, then I gotta say, the West. I don't see the Nuggets making it. I just don't see. I mean, it's just the luck of the draw that the Nuggets would have to just prove me wrong. That throughout their history, they just always fall short. They would have to just prove me wrong. But um, like I said, the Clippers with Paul George being injured now, I don't know that's going to hurt them. They might not even make the playoffs now, or they barely might make the play in and be one and done in the play in or something. It might be a drop off there if the team doesn't step up and play around Kawhi. But I had Kawhi and Paul George there. I thought that they could beat anybody in the West. But now my sleeper team, I hate to say it, I don't even really like them. But I'm looking at maybe Phoenix might go back. If they can get KD healthy, they might go back now with Paul George being down. But like I said, I don't see the Nuggets, Grizzlies. I want to see them back up the talk, but I don't think they're going to do anything. You never know, man. Golden State gets in there. You can't count the Warriors out either. You can't count the old dog out. You know what I'm saying? Because the old dog still got a few tricks up the sleeves. And all they got to do is get in, and then they know, the veterans, they know how to carry that, shorten their rotation to do whatever. I think Steve Kerr is, for me, the Warriors got a good shot just because of the coach. So to narrow it down, I'm still sticking with, until I know further, Clippers for me and the Bucks for me right now. Um, just depending on how the injuries pan out. But I think Giannis is the best player in the league. Um, he might not be the best shooter, but I think he's the best player, pound for pound. I think he's just the best. Um, and now I got to switch it up a little bit because I did want to talk. Oh, you got Suns and the Bucks, so you going with a repeat? Oh, that's a good pick. That's a good pick right there. The Suns and the Bucks. Like I said, the Suns. I hate to say it, but they might end up getting in there with the Clippers being. If Paul George can't perform when it comes playoff time, or if they fall all the way off. But yeah, the Suns with KD, I think it'll be a monkey off KD's back if they can, if he can come back and get healthy and they can get in there, they can do the thing. And it'll be a relief to Booker and CP3. Um, but before I get out of here, I was gonna switch it up a little bit, get into this NFL real quick for my, just talk a little bit of the off season. Don't want to dwell on the off season, but I wanted to talk about, I'm sick of the Aaron Rodgers thing again. I'm always sick of hearing about Aaron Rodgers, but I'm sick of it. Jets, why aren't the Jets looking elsewhere? Are they sure they're going to get Aaron Rodgers? I mean, why is Green Bay stalling? If it's really Green Bay holding up the deal, man, let the deal go through. Get that over with already. Move on already. You want what compensation for this guy that you don't want? I mean, what more compensation could you possibly want for a guy that you don't want? And then if you the Jets, If you so sold that this guy gonna take you to the promised land, then why aren't you pulling the trigger and going on give him that 13th pick? Give him the 13th pick. That's what I say. Um, yeah, I mean, for me, that's where the Jets should have been all along. Lamar Jackson. I would, like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, he gonna give you a good solid year or two, maybe three, if he chooses to play that long. you know. But look at all the games. That's why Green Bay's done with him. Frustration. The guy's a good player, but holding up the process. Oh, waiting on him to make up his mind. So they made up his mind for him. But if you don't want him, then go ahead and let him go. Take whatever the Jets offering. Let's move along. Get the compensation. Let's move it along. And if you the Jets, I would have been going after Lamar Jackson from the moment that the Ravens let it be known. Hey, Lamar, go out there and try to get whatever money you can. Let's see what offers come back on the sheet. See if we want to match it or see if we want to take these 2 first-round picks or whatever. From the moment that happened, the Jets should have been like, here you go, boom. Because I think that in the long run, I think they can win with either one. But like I said, I don't see the Jets getting Aaron Rodgers. I said this last week on the show. I don't think the Jets are going to go anywhere with Aaron Rodgers anyway. But I do think that if they get Lamar Jackson, they can go far. And it's just for me, it's with Aaron Rodgers, you're running into like the problem that Green Bay ran into. Like if the receivers aren't catching the ball, then they offense stall and they look anemic out there. They look pathetic out there. But with a guy like Lamar Jackson, his legs still gonna keep your offense moving. The way he runs, the explosiveness is still gonna keep your offense moving. So I see that as a benefit. Yeah, uh, but they wouldn't really have to change it much. My thing is everybody assumes that because Lamar is fast and all this, you have to change. Guess what? His elusiveness and all that, whether he drops back in the pocket or whatever offense you run, I think that Lamar Jackson is that talented. He has adaptability. He has that ability to adapt to whatever offensive scheme that you want to run. That's what I'm putting it on. Like, hey, just because the Ravens chose to use him a certain way doesn't mean that you have to use him that certain way. I think that if you want to play a traditional offense, he would be great in it because he would be elusive. I mean, scrambling, being able to get out of tough situations more so than any other quarterback that you see. Like I think that he'll take less sacks, and I think that he'll be able to stretch plays long enough to let a receiver get open. A la what Patrick Mahomes does with the rock a little bit. That's somewhat what Mahomes does is, he does it in unorthodox methods, but he stretches plays long enough to get receivers open and long enough to make plays down the field. I think you got that same thing with Lamar Jackson. So I know what you're saying. I feel what you're saying as far as, but that's the way the Ravens chose to approach it because the Ravens know their deficiencies. They never really put receivers out there or receivers are around them that can catch the ball or running backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield. They never gave the guy many choices. So they had to run that style of offense. I think that if he has choices, he can make the right choice. If you give him the option to pick and choose, I'm sure he would rather throw it than run because running gets him hurt a lot, but he can still use that running ability to stretch plays and make plays. But the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, get rid of him. But Lamar, I don't know if the team's going to make an offer. I think it really is one of those, I don't want to say black ball situations, but it's looking like it. It's looking like the owners of teams are saying, no, we're not going to give you that fully guaranteed money that you're asking for or that fully guaranteed contract that you're asking for or whatever. I mean, it's costly, and I don't blame owners. I don't blame teams for not really wanting to do it. It's risky. Deshaun Watson, maybe that was just an anomaly, one-time deal. But for me, I think that the guy has too much talent and somebody should have made an offer by now. There's a lot of teams lacking quarterbacks. I mean, the Raiders, for God's sakes, they took Jimmy Garoppolo, who's always hurt. This guy lives on the injured list, but you take him rather than going all in for Lamar Jackson. I don't understand. I understand the Panthers. They traded, they got the picks, so they out of the running. I mean, but when you talk Atlanta, you talk the Indianapolis Colts, you even talk the Houston Texans, you talk all these teams. Well, the Texans, they got the second overall pick, so they're going to get a quarterback there. And they're gonna get a quarterback for cheap. So I understand certain teams making certain moves. Indy with like the fourth pick or something. Maybe they thinking a quarterback will fall of them or something, or they're gonna take Levitz or something in the draft or something. Maybe they're gonna take whoever's left over or Richardson or something like that. I mean, I get some of the teams, but these other teams that need quarterbacks that can upgrade, and I keep hearing the Washington Commanders. I do not, as a Dallas Cowboy fan, I do not want him to go to the Commanders at all, because that would just boost their team and that would make their team instantly a good team, a playoff team. As where they sit right now, they are not a playoff team. Put this guy on a team, they are a playoff team and possibly a Super Bowl looking team. So Lamar, somebody please in the AFC take Lamar off the table. Jets take him. Ravens make a deal with the guy. I do not want to see him over there in my division playing for the Commanders at all. Which that could happen. Like the Commanders right now, they might make an offer, and that would hurt us. Um, Other than that, though, um, looking at some of the moves, like for my Cowboys, re-signing Fowler, that's okay. But getting Ronald Jones as a backup running back, Ronald Jones, he's all right. I don't know, but Brandon Cooks is the big move for us right now. I like that move. Um, I still think we could have got a better wide receiver like DeAndre Hopkins. We could have traded for. You never know. We might not be through. I think DeAndre Hopkins would have changed the whole landscape and really would have put us in the running and probably could have helped limit some of those turnovers that Dak throws. A guy that catches everything, thrown his way pretty much. A guy with his physical abilities to go up and get the ball and stuff. I think that that's what was lacking. CD with the short stature. Gallup not really like that Amari Cooper type big physical receiver. I think we still need that. Brandon Cooks will be all right. He'll be a decent second. That'll be cool. The pressure comes off Michael Gallup a little bit. So I'm looking at what the Cowboys doing, but I still don't think that even with the defensive moves that we've made, and I still don't think with the offensive moves that we've made, that we've been able to catch the Eagles. Hopefully for us, the Eagles will have a drop off from losing some of their pieces. But I don't think it's just a division alone, much less talking Super Bowl. I don't think that we did anything to jump us up to put us in the conversation of winning a Super Bowl. Other moves that I've been looking at, the Patriots, they trying to make a little noise. They getting a little better on the offensive front, but for me, still not enough. Now the Patriots, if they were to get Lamar Jackson, if they, if Bill Belichick was to go in on something like that, I mean, sorry, Mac Jones, Lamar Jackson would definitely upgrade. I think that he would make, man, with that defense that they have over there and the way that Belichick schemes defenses for certain games, I think that, man, somebody like Lamar Jackson would really that'll put the Patriots back in the running, and then that AFC East would be definitely a tough division, like everybody expected this past season to be for the AFC West. Everybody's thinking that like certain offseason moves are going to necessarily get you there, but what we're not looking at is that you still got to go out and play the games. So some offensive moves early on, some of these offseason moves are really going to prove to be worth it, and some are not. It's always going to be those gambles, and what I'm looking at is my squad. We gamble a lot. Well, Cooks is going to be Cooks. I'm predicting that Cooks is going to be the second, and they're going to move Michael Gallup back to the third receiver, playing in the slot pretty much, the way he started his career. I think that's where they're going to put Michael Gallup back in the slot, and you put Cooks as the second receiver right now with Lamb as your number one choice. I think that's the best that they have. For me, I think the loss, even though, I think the loss of Dalton Schultz is going to hurt us a little bit. I wish they would have found a way to keep him. But I also think that Cooks is. I think it's a good move with Cooks. Like I said, I was looking for something more of a punch, a OBJ type, a DeAndre Hopkins type. But it's not over yet, though. Who knows? I don't know Hopkins. I know Hopkins wants to be traded. And I know that teams are probably really looking at it, and but some teams are already considering him. He's all that stuff. Yeah, Texans stole Schultz. Like I've been bad in the Texans because of some of the questionable stuff they've done in the past. Right now, I've given them a clean slate, and I've started looking at some of the moves that they're making. They starting to get if they're silently getting pieces to try to build something in the long run with whichever quarterback falls their way, whether it be Stroud, whether it be Levitt, whether it be Bryce Young. I'm thinking it's going to be. I'm thinking it's actually going to be Stroud. I think Bryce Young may still go number one to the Panthers. I think the Panthers are going to take Stroud, and I think they're going to. I mean, I think the Panthers are going to take Bryce Young. Forgive me, and then Stroud will be second. So I think what they're doing is decent. Yeah, Schultz. He just went down the road to Houston, but I hated to see that move. I wish the Cowboys could have worked something out, but I know that if the numbers don't fit, they don't fit. You never know. But I'm rooting for my Cowboys to come with something this year. I'm looking for step ups all the way around. Uh, yeah, but he's going to Alabama's pro day tomorrow, and so on and so forth. So he's going to see, and then he's going to Kentucky's to watch Levis. So so we'll see. But it's just that whole fill out of the of the player to see if the player fits. So yeah, I expected. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like the Panthers had 11 there, but what I'm hearing is that all those 11 scouts, all those 11 personnel are still going to go, and they're going to go check out Bryce Young and all those other guys too. So we'll see what the Panthers do. But I really think Stroud. The experts are picking Stroud to go first, but I say Bryce Young. Uh, the reason why I say the Panthers gonna lean towards Bryce Young is because they gonna go to his pro day, check him out, and I think they're gonna fall in love. I think they're gonna overlook the height. I think once they see him up close, right now the knock on him is the height, the size and stuff. So I think once they see him up close and what he can do up close and talk to the young man, I think that's gonna sway their opinion. And plus, he played for Nick Saban. If Nick Saban believes in you, that goes a long way. Not saying that Ohio State's a slouch or anything like that, playing for those institutions. But I'm saying if Nick Saban has your back, man, I think you can go far. Uh, you know, um, you think so? Levis, you really believe that in your heart of hearts? You really believe they're gonna take Levis or Richardson? I don't believe that at all. I don't. This is why I don't believe that. I think that it would be crazy to pass up the two tops. But yeah, you're right though, because stranger things have happened. Yeah, nobody expect. Well, Baker Mayfield was, like um, he was projected to go high in the draft, but you're right though, nobody did. You're so yeah, I can be quiet. You can humble me with that one. Yeah, it does happen from time to time. Uh, you know, like in the past years where the Texans have surprised people where they've had high picks and instead of choosing a quarterback, they've taken defensive linemen and O linemen and stuff like that. So sometimes, yeah, it could be a shock in the person that you think or the people that you think going to be on top. Richardson got a lot of great reviews for his combine or whatever that's worth. But does it really mean? Um, and you never know. Like, but I think the Panthers would definitely be making a mistake if they didn't take Stroud or Young because of the way the game's being played. I think for me, I think Levitz would fit in a good organization like the Colts, to be honest. And I think, um, yeah, like the Texans are going to take one of those guys and they're going to be happy with whoever they get. True enough, but it's like for me, Levitz. The reason why I say Levitz would be good, like coming off of his injuries and stuff like that, to have a good running back, to have somebody in the backfield that you can rely on and get a ball off. Yeah, he's going to make it much. Yeah, that's true. Schultz is working his way into being a great tight end, and I think he's like he's right there, and I think he is going to make those moves. So true, Schultz, he's going to make it easier on anybody. I think that's why they made that move. Whichever quarterback they get, I think that's why the Texans made that move. Um, but as I was saying, as far as the Levitts, eh, I still think I think he's good, man. Don't get me wrong. I think Levitt's, but I think he'll be a better fit with somebody like the Colts, where you got a good running game, where you can rely on that running game a little bit, to make sure that his health is right. and let them get the speed of the game. The reason why I don't worry about the speed of the game with the other two is because they show you different ranges of ability and being able to handle it. Like pretty much Alabama runs a pro system already. Looking at the Texans they will have a decent running game. Um, um, but a team Colts, they need somebody that's going to come in and get them right away. Um, you think they get Richardson if Stroud ahead of him? Yeah, maybe Richardson. They might want that dual quarterback. But then they would just be falling into the trends. And I never seen the Colts as a trendy type. They'd be falling into the trends of these quarterbacks with these exceptional running abilities. I mean, Richardson. For me, my question is accuracy and passing. Like unlike the other three, like um, and being able to adapt to situations would be my question on Richardson. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, the RPO game with Taylor would be bad. I think like, but in terms of winning, how many teams win with the RPO? Like we seen Philly who runs versions of the RPO. We seen them come up short. Yeah, it would be the Eagles in the AFC, but has the RPO won a Super Bowl yet? Because what I see winning Super Bowls is still the Brady's and the Mahomes is winning the Super Bowls. That's what I'm saying. Like, has the RPO been a proven thing? It's been a juggernaut, or it's been something difficult to tackle in the regular seasons, but in the postseason they bog down, and you can lock down and you can concentrate on it, and it changes things. And then you still got to have that quarterback. That's my question about Richardson is when they force you to go to a traditional style and have to pass it in certain situations, your team get behind, or you have to make that last second drive to try to win a game or get it to overtime. Can you make those adjustments like I think these other quarterbacks can? I don't know if Richardson can do that yet. Those are the questions that he would have to answer. Levitz can do it. Stroud can do it. Young can do it. But can Richardson do it? You know, um, I mean, and that's my point. Now you see my point. But what I'm saying is that you don't have to run a Lamar Jackson has proven when he won MVP, look at his numbers and his accuracy of passing. The guy Lamar Jackson completes 65 to 67% of his passes. Nearly 70% of his passes. You have to think about that. Running the type of offense, even running the type of offense that the Ravens run, he completes a high percentage of his passes, and he's dangerously accurate. If you watch the film, if you watch the games on Lamar, he's very accurate. I'm saying, is Richardson that accurate? And the question is, yeah, he's 1-3 in the playoffs. He's 1-3 in the playoffs. And here's my understanding. That's what I'm saying. Because when you force him, because when the Ravens come out and they want to run, they're not relying on the pass. They're relying on his legs. It has not proven to win. That's my point exactly, is that none of these teams that where you try to win with that. What I'm saying is that Lamar Jackson can adapt. Like if the Jets want to play a traditional style, I bet he can adapt to it and play that style and still use his legs as a secondary weapon other than a primary weapon. Unlike what the Ravens have been trying to do. The Ravens have just said, it's Lamar Jackson a bust. And you see that's 1-3 in the playoffs. That's where it gets you when it's Lamar Jackson a bust. But when you have things that say, hey, we're going to pass the ball, we're going to put some receivers around you, which I think, we were talking to Jets. I think the Jets have a better receiving core than Baltimore has. I think Baltimore, they tried to draft, but it didn't work. But you got to put pieces around these quarterbacks. Like you see what Chicago's doing with Justin Fields. They're going to give him every opportunity to prove that he's a passer. They're going to give him every opportunity to prove himself as an NFL quarterback in multiple styles, to be able to win multiple ways, to use those, that speed and agility as a secondary weapon and not as your main weapon. Yeah, for me, I think it is. I don't think he's going to play under the franchise tag. Because we saw what happened when he played. He took a risk playing this year, and he got injured. I don't think he's going to injure himself further to prove anything. I think Lamar sits out if they can't come if he can't come to a deal with the Ravens and no other team makes an offer. But I think at the last minute a team will make an offer. I think like you still got time. I think a team will come to their senses and say he's worth it, especially if especially if certain things don't work out for certain teams. I was surprised that I think the Patriots are going to make a serious offer on Lamar Jackson at some point once they figure out if that's what they really want to do. I think Bill O'Brien's offense. I think he could do something with a Bill O'Brien offensive mind. Uh, but unfortunately, it's been great talking. It's been a great show. It's that time for me to get up out of here. And I'll be back next week as a diehard fan. Um, Hopefully, we'll be back on Facebook Live soon. Don't know exactly when. Thanks for Sports for America for putting me on. And don't forget to check out Nerd Focus, the energy drink. Nerd Focus, get your brain right, your game tight. Uh, and again, check out my book, Pain and a Man Hide. It's under my middle name, Karuin, rolling at the bottom of the screen there on Amazon.com. Yes, you have a good one.